everyone, and welcome to Thorough Newspaper Analysis, which is brought to you by LawSikho. So today again, we'll be covering the newspaper for yesterday, that was Sunday and Monday. So it will be for 8th and 9th of November 2020. So there are two articles. Both are the lengthy articles. So the detailed articles are from today's newspaper. One is from the Hindu, which is titled as Strategic Comfort with the Maldives. So basically it talks about the India and Maldives relationship and a very recent question or a very recent protest that has come from the side of one faction of the Maldivian area. So what is that and how can it really impact India and Maldives relationship? And secondly, in search of dignity. So this is from the Indian Express, and it totally talks about it, and it totally reiterates the importance of right to dignity to be brought into the a broader picture and to be included through various judgments that have come every now and then. So how and which all major judgments have led to this right of dignity, we'll be discussing in this article. And finally, we have the news and flash column, wherein we have a lot of points from yesterday's newspapers as well. So if you're also preparing for the judicial services exam, you can definitely have a look at the LawSikho course that we have in here for you. So we call it as the Lord of the Courses, which is a judiciary test prep course. The link to this course is available in the description box of this video as well. You can have a look at it too. And from the landing page, once you press the link, you can also download the free study material, which is very nicely drafted for all your preparation. Then you can also have a look at various other courses like for CLAT, All India Bar Exam, SEBI, etc. that are also helpful for other kinds of aspirants. With this, let's see that what is the multiple choice question for the day. National Legal Services Day is celebrated on 1st, 7th November, 2nd, 8th November, 3rd, 9th November, or 4th, 10th November. So you can write down the correct answer in the comment section below. This is the descriptive question for the day. Discuss how India-Maldives relationship has evolved over the time. So in a way, how India has been a helping hand to Maldives and how Maldives has also been a very friendly nation towards India must be discussed in this article, in this question. With this, let's see the first article, which firstly talks about the India and Maldives relationship. So basically, Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla will visit Maldives on 9th and 10th of November, that is tomorrow and day after tomorrow, today and tomorrow. It is significant for taking forward the bilateral relationships, that is India's neighborhood first policy. So as we know that India follows the neighborhood first policy, wherein under this policy, India tries to give more focus or lay down more focus or give primacy to the neighbors of our country initially. So like we know that India has good relationships with Nepal, like keep aside the border issue that we just had seen a few months ago. But otherwise, we have very good transactions and relationships with Nepal, also with Bhutan, Myanmar, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and even, Afghanistan as well. But only when it comes to Pakistan, obviously there are some historical issues that are concerned with it. But then with China also, with time we have developed a good relationship with China as well, keeping aside the Ladakh and the line of actual control issue. That is why it says that wherein if at all India has to make a choice, then India tries to make a choice that is first favorable to its own neighborhood countries or its own neighbors, and then it moves outwards towards the various directions. And that is why Maldives, though it does not really share a border with India, but still it is considered to be a neighboring country of India. And that is why India gives a lot of primacy to the interests of Maldives as well. But here, through which we will study that how the good links have been formed between India and Maldives relationship. So firstly, India's emergency assistance to Maldives. So India has been as we also know that India mostly has been dealing with a lot of countries on a very humanitarian basis. As we know that even in Afghanistan, India has been always giving a lot of funds and also had tried to develop libraries and educational institutions in Afghanistan, and has also mediated many times in such talks for bringing in peace in Afghanistan. Then if we talk about other countries like in Southeast Asia as well, and other nations. If we talk about specifically Maldives and even Madagascar, which is like near the South Africa, which is on the African continent, on the right side of the African continent in the Pacific Ocean. So there also India has had many operations like Operation Vanilla and various such operations wherein India has been providing the emergency products, goods or services that were really required in those areas. Now, be it for any kind of disaster management, mitigation or rescue, and also in the case of health hazards as well. And such a line of like dealings have taken place from the side of India towards Maldives as well. So, like in the year 1988, India restored the legitimate leadership under Operation Cactus. Now, this is also a very important question because Operation Cactus itself can be a prelims question too. So, it can be simply asked that Operation Cactus, recently seen in news, is related to. So, they can either give you countries that India and Maldives, India and Sri Lanka, so on and so forth, or they can simply give you that it is related to restoration of the leadership, or is it related to some health hazard or something like that. So we should be careful to note that Operation Cactus was performed by India in 1988, wherein there was a huge turmoil that was going, like political turmoil that was going on in Maldives, but India helped the legitimate leadership over there to restore its control back to the nation. Then back in 2004, it assisted in solving water crisis in Malé and in the times of tsunami as well. And as we know that the huge tsunami that had hit the Southeast Asia and the Asian countries in 2004. So in that time also, and there was a huge water crisis that Maldives was going through. And in that time, it was the Indian naval ships or the Indian Navy that actually transported a lot of potable water over there, and also various kinds of medicines and other health equipments as well. And then in the year 2020 as well, a $250 million aid has been provided along with medical supplies, new cargo ferry, air bubble, which is a means of traveling between India and Maldives, which is the first of its kind in the South Asia. For the COVID-19 disruption. So even in the times of COVID-19, when even India itself is also struggling to cope with this pandemic, but it still has had a humanitarian basis in Maldives and has provided with these a lot of facilities in the times of this pandemic as well. But the mere concern that we have to discuss in this article today is that there is a camp in Maldives called as the Yamin camp, and the people who are a part of this camp, it is not, it might not be a particular camp or a location where they are located. It's just they belong to this ideology and they have a functionality over there in Maldives. So these people are called as the Yaminis. So these Yamini camp, they actually launched an India Out campaign against India's massive developmental funding. Now, as we have just seen, that India has every now and then been giving a lot of funds also for the development of Maldives, their tourism and other assets as well. And in such a scenario, the Yamin camp of Maldives has not been very happy with this encouragement, and it has actually had this very campaign of India Out. That with this it wants Indian efforts or the Indian funding to move out of Maldives. So because there is an occasional conflict, internal conflict within the ruling Maldivian Democratic Party, which is the government of Mr. Soli Mohammed, and this Yamin camp. Now, see, whenever there are such situations, mostly the reasons are political. Because see, if Mr. Soli Mohammed has the government, like he has the current government, which is a democratic setup in the country. So if in this regime or under his control, any kinds of developments are made in the country, which are definitely very important for the people, the common people will tend to realize that yes, this is a good leader since he has good ties with the international world and also is able to cater to the needs of us, all of us who are the domestic citizens of the country. Now, in such a scenario, if there is any group, any faction in the country that does not like that particular political party to be in power or to stay in power, and it wants that there should not be any circumstances wherein people should start liking this political party more, they will definitely try to cut down to such circumstances wherein through which the funds or anything like that is flowing into the country. And that is why maybe this could be one of the reasons wherein the Yamin group wants India or in the Indian fundings move out from the Maldives. So this was the major issue over here, and the presence of Yamin camp should be known to all of us. With this, let's discuss the second article for the day, which talks about dignity of individuals and courts. So basically, on October 21st, it was the Global Human Dignity Day, and India also joined the world in celebrating the Global Human Dignity Day. But the very discussion that has been made in this article is that it's really nice that we have, like, at least in talks, we have joined the Global Human Dignity Day, but it needs to be pondered upon as to how much, in the real and practical sense, have we been able to provide our citizens with the real meaning of dignity that has actually been promised under the Constitution of India. So that is why the author in this article has been giving up the names of a lot of judgments that have come from Supreme Court and various other court of laws in courts of law in the country, wherein it says that yes, indeed, a lot of emphasis has been laid on the right to dignity, and that it is sacrosanct and it is, very integral to the survival of any person, or the right to life giving to any person or citizen in the country. So, in such a situation, it is not only something that should remain on the paper or just mere in the books of judgments, but this is something that we should be able to give to our citizens in the real and very practical sense. So the Supreme Court, in the case of Navtej Johar versus Union of India 2018, which is a very, very important case, we just discussed a few days ago as well, it declared that Article 21 would include right to life with dignity. So as we know that Navtej Johar case is also, it's one of the most important cases when it comes to right to dignity. So in that also the Supreme Court had held that Article 21 would have its meaning in a complete sense if it only includes if it includes right to life with dignity as well, because obviously a life that is not dignified has absolutely no meaning. So it's just like just living a life. It's something not like that you can actually understand the real meaning of having a dignified life. So now here are a lot of cases, like these are cases are all related to right to dignity as a very integral part of Article 21. So the pronouncements by Supreme Court stating human dignity as a foremost constitutional principle. So in the case of like in M. Nagaraj versus Union of India, now these cases, now all the people, you should know that these are very important cases and very landmark cases as well. So whenever, if at all a question arises in the exam relating to right to dignity, then if you quote any of these cases, then it obviously would raise the standard of your answer, and it would definitely get you those brownie points. So then case Puttaswamy, wherein right to personal right to privacy was also upheld to be as a fundamental right. Then in the case of Romila Thapar, Nambi Narayan, Navtej Johar, as we just discussed, and in the case of Tehseen S. Punewala case also, which is a very important case when it comes to mob lynching as well. So Tehseen S. Punewala case is also quietly related to the right to dignity as well. So now here are some factors that have been affecting the judicial dignity. So the allegations on its fairness and credibility. Now basically the dignity that we're talking about is not just with the individuals, but also the various institutions and various other bodies that are a very crucial part of the democratic setup, like any of it, be it the parliament, executive, or the judiciary. So when it comes to judiciary, we know that very recently there has been such a tussle and questions have been raising on the functioning of the judicial system in the country. So we know that there have been allegations on the fairness and credibility of the judicial system, wherein we know that the Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Y.S. Jagannath Reddy had actually put up a public letter to the Chief Justice of India alleging the corrupt activities done by various judges of the High Court in his state. Then we have unchecked media trials, as we know that this has been a bizarre problem since such a long time now, that the media does not really let the court to decide in a very unbiased manner as to whatever the issue is going on. And there is such a huge problem of media trials wherein the media itself tries to become a court of law and gives its own judgments. A very, very simple example that I'd like to give you in this regard is like the death of the actor Sushant Singh Rajput. It has been so much hyped till now. It is so much hyped, and they have actually many times you might be able to see that when this particular news flashes on any news channel, many have actually put it as the murder of the actor Sushant Singh Rajput. So see, it was like prima facie, it was a suicide. It is up to the court to decide, and the facts also to be corroborated later, that was it a murder, was it an abatement to suicide, or whatever the fact or the whichever exact offense it was. But definitely the media has no credibility to define it as a murder or an abatement of suicide or a suicide. Like it should not really be deciding upon such things. And what happens is that when it reiterates or it just repeats again and again that it was the murder, murder, and murder, so the people who are watching such news also tend to think that yes, it was a murder, and it convinces them without any true or real facts in hand. So which is a very, very serious problem which should be stopped. Like then in the case of Sahara India versus SEBI, Article 19(1)(a), it was held that Article 19(1)(a) is subject to requirement of free trial, and that is why uh, it's not like that just merely you want to use your freedom of speech and expression under Article 19(1)(a), so you would actually hamper the very procedure of having a free trial, and definitely it would not be something that would be entertained. It will be because we know that this right is also not absolute. Then lastly, institutional incapacity to enforce its judgments. So meaningless declarations of law, because we know that many a times, as we just discussed in the beginning of this article, that it is not something that should just remain on the paper or within the books of judgments. This is something that should be really be able to be enforced. And that is why it is very important that there is a coherence that is developed in all the segments of the democracy, the parliament, the executive, and the judicial system or the judiciary, wherein coherence is developed, and thus we actually walk the talk, what we call as, that we actually can remain on what we have decided, and we also act upon what we have talked about. So that is very crucial. Then authority and dignity of higher judiciary rests not on the coercive power of the judges, but the deference and respect that is paid to them in their acts. Because obviously, it is not the fear of those judges that actually that should compel the people to respect them. Rather, it is the sanctity of this very institution of judiciary that asks the people, it asks the respect to naturally come out of flow. So here, these are all the cases. You can go through them into detail. As we know, Navtej Johar case had also decriminalized Section 377 IPC. We just discussed it 2 days ago. So you can have a look at them for yourself. So let's see, what do we have for news in flash today? Firstly, now all of us know that Joe Biden has been elected as the 46th president of the United States. And along with him, he has his running mate, Kamala Devi Harris, who actually has the origins from India. And she has become the first woman and first Indian African American vice president of the country. Second, UAE set to overhaul Islamic laws, and this is a very huge step, big step that UAE would be taking. So basically, UAE has announced a major overhaul of the country's Islamic personal laws by allowing unmarried couples to cohabitate. Just like in India, we have like live-in relationships are very much legal now, and in UAE also they're considering this fact, and loosening alcohol restrictions and criminalizing the so-called honor killings as well. So this would be a very big step, which would be taken in the step of liberalization of the personal laws in UAE. This is the third one. 4 more biodiversity heritage sites for Karnataka. So the Karnataka Biodiversity Board has declared the Anantra Gange Betwa, which is there in Kolar, Adi Narayan Swami Betta, which is in Chikballapur, Mahima Rang Beta, which is in Neelamangala, and Urumbi area of the Kumardhara River Basin, which is the Dakshina Kannad, as biodiversity heritage sites. So you should know the names of these. A prelims question might come up that where are they or what are these, and like how are they related to Karnataka and stuff like that. Next, Yashwardhan Sinha appointed as the CIC, which is the Chief Information Commissioner. So President Ramnath Kovind administered the oath of office. So Sinha will have a tenure of 3 years as the CIC, and as CIC and other information commissioners are appointed either for 5 years or till they attain the age of 65 years. So as we know that from a long period, the post of the Chief Information Commissioner was vacant, due to which there were a lot of problems into the appeals that were going in the RTI. So hopefully this problem will be solved with this appointment. Then we have National Legal Services Day today, which is on 9th November. So it was first celebrated in 1995, which was started by the Supreme Court. It aims to educate the weaker sections of our society regarding the various provisions of the Legal Services Authorities Act 1987. So basically just for spreading the legal awareness in the country. So this was all for today. We hope it was a good session for you. Stay tuned with LawSikho for such more sessions to come. Thank you so much.